Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show. It's Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. Woo, I'm excited to be with you here today, live from the Landscape Lighting Secret Studios. And by the way, it's the number one landscape lighting show in Lincoln, Nebraska. So yeah, not a lot of people know that, but the word's getting around, so we're excited to be here. If you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. And by the way, I'm starting to think that it doesn't even matter what business you're in. If you're looking to just level up, make more money, get more freedom, get your weekends back, this is the place to be, because we're trying to motivate you, we're trying to educate, and we're trying to help you dominate. So thank you guys so much for your support. I look forward to hanging out with you every single week, and I'm just excited for today's show. We're going to have the CEO, the founder, the man, Mr. Luke Hansen of CompanyCam. So if you have not heard of CompanyCam, make sure you stick around. We're going to kind of find out a little bit more about his story and some of the things that he's learned as an entrepreneur. And then we're going to talk about CompanyCam as well. And really looking forward to it. So, by the way, guys, what's up, Lincoln? Thanks for being here, man. Uses CompanyCam every day. Love it. What's up, Greg? Legend checking in. That's right. So, by the way, guys, I'm looking for my 50th podcast review on Apple. We're at 49. So who wants to be the 50th? I would like it to be you, and who you are, I don't know, but I would like it to be you. So go and give me my 50th review on Apple. As a reminder, if you have your own business, keep asking for reviews, because the more I ask, the more I get. And that's just how it works. So Lincoln's going to hook me up with the number 50. So see if you can beat him to it. But that would be awesome, man. I appreciate it. What's up, Keith? Thanks for being here. What's up, Brian? Checking in. Love some CompanyCam. All right. I like that. So we got some fans already, but guys, again, in just a few minutes, we're going to have Luke Hansen with CompanyCam. And he's been on the show before. He's a lot of fun. So it's going to be a great episode. A couple reminders. We've got Landscape Lighting Live coming up actually next week in Tampa. And I'm so excited, you guys. This is like, it's so good, because we've been doing these for a couple of years now, but this is the first one where we actually have real people besides me coming and helping. So we got 4 mentors coming down with us. It's going to be epic. If you missed out, which people are messaging me saying, how do I get my name on the wait list? We'll go to landscapelightinglive.com. At the top, there's some red text. Put your name, click on that, put your name in there, and you're going to get an email this weekend, the early invite to the next one, before we actually put it public. So go to landscapelightinglive.com, make sure your name's on the wait list, and then look for an email Friday or Saturday, and you'll get your ticket to the next one, because it is going to sell out. Like, it's proven. This is not marketing. This is not me trying to create scarcity and urgency. Like, it's proven. It just sells out. So go get your ticket now. And we'll see you at the next one. We haven't even announced where and when and everything, but it will be announced in the email. So I'm excited to be in Tampa. If you've already got your ticket, we'll see you next week. And I always want to thank Emery Allen, of course. So what's the best way to stand out of the crowd? Well, being different. So set yourself apart from others in the lighting industry and impress your customers by installing Emery Allen bulbs on your next project. You'll discover a higher level of quality across the board, from the bulbs themselves to the top-tier customer support you can expect to get if you have any issues or questions. So right now is the best time to make the switch. You're getting the new year started. Get a new landscape lighting lamp manufacturer. And if you want to get the best discounted contractor pricing, don't go to their website. Everyone else says, go to my website. Don't go to their website unless you want to pay more. Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com, and he'll hook you up with the discounted contractor pricing. Mention that you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and that you know me. Even if you don't know me, just mention my name. I promise you'll get the best deal by emailing Tom G at emeryallen.com and get that discounted contractor pricing. So, guys, again, couple minutes, Luke Hansen, CompanyCam. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about some ways that you can really help organize your business and actually provide a better experience to your client, does a lot of different things. I'll let him tell you more about it, but you're definitely going to not want to miss him. Make sure you stick around. Super successful guy, company. I'm going to even ask him about how to get money from rich people, because he does that as part of his role as CEO. He like asks other rich people like for more money. So we're going to get into that, all sorts of cool stuff. But before we have him on, I want to talk about levers in your business. And leverage was something that we were talking about last week with the Lighting Legends. Lighting Legends is a new program that I created for my basically like upper level clients of Landscape Lighting Secrets. They had graduated from the regular stuff, and now they want to build a legacy. Now they really want to go next level, right? And so we were talking about leverage, and pricing is one of those things that comes up in almost every conversation I have in the world, even at dinner with my wife. It's like, why are we talking about pricing? Can we take a break? But right now, when it slows down, the economy is slowing down, whether it's because it's January or because, stuff is changing in the world or whatever. But when it slows down, people will do what? They naturally lower their price. And this is a bit of a problem, right? And I can't remember if I read a book or someone told this to me or I saw it on social media. I cannot remember, but they said addiction is not the problem. Addiction is the solution. And I was like, addiction is the solution? I thought addiction was a problem. But then they explained it. It's like peeling back the onion. Okay. When someone's addicted to alcohol, they're not addicted to alcohol for no reason. The problem is that they're not happy. The problem is something happened to cause them to want to go drink. And then that's why it's a solution, right? And so what is the real problem in your business when you're lowering your price? Is it really the price? If I'm thinking I'm buying the same thing for more money, then of course I want to save. I'm like, why would I go with you? I'll just go with this person. They're less money. But that's a commodity. Okay. And if you're selling a commodity, then I don't know. I've never sold commodities. But it'd be hard to charge twice as much for the exact same thing, right? But because landscape lighting is so custom and it's not a commodity, you can charge whatever you want. Like, you're in complete control. It doesn't matter what your competitor charges. It doesn't matter what the market rate. I see all these posts in Facebook, like, what's everyone charging for this? Like, who cares? I don't care. Like, I don't care what other people are charging for coaching, because I charge Landscape Lighting Secrets coaching. Like, that's what I charge. It's the value I need in exchange for the services I provide, right? And so what are some ways that we can not lower our price? Well, it really starts with your sales process, and it really starts with creating value and giving more value. You see, I found out a while ago that wealthy people, these are the people that were buying landscape lighting from me, right? They don't care what something costs. They have so much money, it really doesn't matter, but they do care what it's worth, right? And the moment that it's worth more than they're spending, they pull the trigger every single time. They'll go spend 60, 80 grand for a week in Vail. Like, is that a good deal? That does not sound like a good deal, but it's worth that to them. And so it's an easy decision for them to make, right? And so if you're having a problem selling landscape lighting, and meanwhile, these people are spending $80,000 a week in Vail, and you can't sell them a $30,000 landscape lighting package, it's going to last 10 to 15 years. There's something wrong, and it's not the price. What's wrong is the value, right? And so you just haven't done a good enough job communicating what that value is to them. So what do most do? They just lower their price and figure out a way to make it work. And they justify, well, it's fine. I don't really have that much overhead anyway. And I'll just keep doing the same thing the rest of my life. Like, you're never going to get better. You're never going to get healed. You're addicted. You're addicted to business. You're addicted to lowering your price. So I want to talk to you guys about a couple different ways you can build value. One is to lower price. Okay. If you're in my circle of friendship, business, whatever, we're not going to lower our price. One thing we're going to do, though, is increase the value. It's like, well, yeah, but how do you increase the value? So there's lots of different ways, actually. And actually, CompanyCam would be a way that you could increase value. But my list is like, number one, answer the phone every single time. Okay. How many of you are actually answering the phone every single time? Most of us are not answering the phone every single time because we're busy. We're in a sales meeting. We're doing this. We're in a tree, changing a fixture, whatever it is. So who's answering the phone every single time? That's value. Show up on time. How many of you are actually showing up on time for every single appointment? And when I say on time, I mean 15 minutes early. If you're serious about going next level and charging a premium price, you've got to do the easy things correctly. Polished sales presentation. Like, are you actually just winging it, or do you actually write down the things that you screwed up on the last one and get better on this one? Like, what is the order of operations? Are you talking about your company first, or are you talking about lights? Are you not talking about lights? Are you talking about design? Like, what is your order of operations? uh, Portfolio. Like, do you have a portfolio? What are you showing them? What do your pictures look like? Did you hire a professional, or did you take crappy pictures yourself? And do you think they look good? Because they probably don't. Your design. Like, if does that design, does it need 15 lights on the tree? If so, why? Right? Have you ever told someone that they need to add a landscape bed along the house? Have you ever told them to remove a tree? Have you ever told them to add a sculpture? These are things that are going to create value in your sales presentation, and they're going to be different than what other people are doing. You see, most just say, "Well, isn't customer service listening to the client?" And if the customer says, "Well, I just want to like 3 or 4 lights on the house here, and then I want a couple lights on those trees," they'll do that, and they think, "Oh, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I just provided customer service." And I think that's garbage. I think providing a valuable service that creates a non-commodity is telling the customer why you're an authority and why you think that we need to add a landscape bed here, need to remove these 2 trees, I need to plant a bigger tree here, and I want to add a sculpture over there for a focal point. All right, it's a completely different experience that I'm giving to the customer than most people are. What about recognition? Are you sharing recognition that you've had amongst your peers or in local magazines or on the news or anything like that? What about your reviews? If you're bragging that you have 14, I only have 49. If you're bragging that you have 49 reviews for your podcast, like, that might be a problem when other podcasts have thousands, right? But you got to start somewhere. One of my top favorite ones is the value stack. Okay. So instead of just saying, like, all right, here's your lighting, it costs $26,000. Like, what else could you do to offer more value? Right. So you could say, well, this section is 12,000, this section's 4,000, and what you get for this, and it's worth 52,000, but today only you're getting it for 26,000. Okay. And if you think that's cheesy, or, oh, I don't do marketing, then maybe you shouldn't do business, right? Because the successful businesses out there understand marketing principles and sales principles, and they use them very, very effectively in their process, right? And maybe you think, well, you don't know who I am, my designs and da da da. But if you're the best at design, but you're not good at sales, you're going to be a starving artist, right? Finally, did you know that actually increasing your price will actually increase value? It's just perception, right? A lot of people think, like, you could get 2 cars that are identical and put a different name badge on one and charge double, and people are like, cool. Like, that's worth more. It's worth more to them because they're paying more, right? So instead of lowering your price, what if you raise your price? Right? And here's some really cool, like, nerdy math stuff. Like, if you raise your price by 10%, you can afford to lose up to 20% of your clients and still make the same amount of profit that you're making now. So think about that for a minute. Like, you raise your price by 10%, you lose 20% of your clients, but you still make the same amount of profit. Why wouldn't you do that? That's less headache. And now 20%, that's Fridays. So you get Fridays off, you go fishing, you go do whatever, you go skiing, you go lay out at the beach, you sit on the couch, you do whatever you do. And then you call me and you're like, thank you, because now I don't work Fridays and I make the same amount of money. Or you work more and you reinvest that Friday now into growing your business, right? And here's the real secret, guys. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get Fridays off. You're going to increase your closing rate. You're going to close more deals, and they're going to be higher profitable clients, right? So it doesn't always work how you think it's going to work. And the other thing that's pretty amazing. What's up, guys? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. The other thing that will happen is most people don't know their numbers. And to be honest, I hate numbers. I just like to hire people that tell me what the numbers are, because I freaking hate that stuff. But if you knew your numbers and you're a small business, most of the time your profit is not as high as you think. And I know everyone brags, oh, I'm making 40%, 60%, whatever. Like, after you pay for the materials, you might be making 40 or 60%. But what does it cost you for insurance and trucks and fuel and the cost to replace a drill? Like, what does this stuff cost you? What do taxes cost when you hire someone to answer your phones? Like, all this stuff. Once everything is really said and done, like, how much is our business making? You're lucky if you're making 10%. And if you're telling me, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, I make 30%, like, let's get on a call. I promise you're not making that much. If you're paying yourself what you are worth. Okay, that's the key, because some of you don't pay yourselves anything, and they're like, yeah, look, on paper I made 30%. It's like, well, you didn't pay yourself to do sales and install and all these different things, right? So let's just say that you are making 10%. If you raise your price by 10%, guess what you just did? Like, this is incredible. You just doubled your profits. You doubled your profits in one move. That is the definition of leverage, is minimal inputs for maximized outputs. That's incredible, you guys. So instead of finding ways to lower your price this year, find ways, spend time thinking, how can I increase my price by 10, 12, 15, 20%? Find ways to do this. And I promise you're going to come out ahead on the other side. And you might, if you don't change anything, you're going to lose deals, right? That's true. But just change the things that need to be changed. Change the proper levers to make leverage work for you. Enough about me, enough about pricing. I think it's time to get going with Luke. Hey, by the way, guys, these strategies that we just talked about, we just talked about some very high level, like 3 or 4 different things, even though it sounded like one. We go over these strategies in much more depth in my coaching program, Landscape Lighting Secrets, and at Landscape Lighting Live. So if you want to be part of that, reach out, go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, go to landscapelightinglive.com and be part of it, because that's really what it's going to take, is you changing, what got you here is not going to get you there type thing. So I think it's time. Are you guys ready? I know I am. I feel like I'm like, why am I still talking? Oh yeah, it's because I couldn't find the button. All right, let's go. What's up, Mr. Luke Hansen? How are you?
I'm good, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Thanks for being here, man. I'm doing great. This is like my favorite time of the week every week.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I don't know why you need me, though, after that intro. I think that was a lot more good information than you're going to get for the next 45 minutes. No, but it was really good. Like, it's hard to charge. Like, it's so easy to try to compete on price and to kind of feel like you need to meet the next bid, or what are they, like that whole like thought process. I mean, it's really hard to charge what something is worth, in a sense. And I just thought that was all like really solid advice, especially around the things that cost more actually become more valuable. It sounds like cliche or one of those make-believe things that people say to make themselves feel better. But like, people do value things that cost more. Like, and cost can be money, but cost, like, if I write you a card or a note versus sending you a text message, it like cost me more. I thought about it more. Like, and we take, it's called costly signaling, actually.
Yep.
Like, there's like a whole, I don't know, psychology. I'm getting out of my depth a little bit, but it is really true. We really notice it. And what I'm always telling people, sorry, I'm chiming in and just immediately doubling down on everything that you're saying, because it was great. But like, people want to believe in what they're getting. Like, they want to believe that it's the right thing. They want to believe in you doing it, and that stuff about showing up on time. Like, all this stuff that you're doing is signaling about the quality of the experience, top to bottom. But the key person that needs to believe in it is you, whoever is selling it. If you're selling something you believe in, if you know that you're going to do great for them, that you're going to be able to put them in a better position that they would have been in if they would have just went around and got the cheapest bid, or if they would have tried to figure it out themselves. When you really believe that, and then you see you deliver that value, then you don't feel bad charging that premium price, because you actually believe it. And I feel like a lot of sales is really about how much you believe in the value, and how much you believe in what you're selling, versus like all these kind of little tactics, and they're good. I'm not down on like sales tactics or process or any of this stuff, but like, that will take you so far. And you truly believing that what you're selling is worth it, and that they're still, in a sense, getting a deal. There's a whole bunch in there that's not easy to quantify, but You have to actually ask yourself that question. Do I believe it? And if you don't believe it, then you have to ask yourself why. What would I have to believe? Like what would have to be different for me to believe that I should be charging a premium price? And that's it, because you may not right now, but if you can go through that and kind of, you know what I mean, it's hard, but once you get on the other side of that, then you're going to be better, almost certainly. And then you're going to be able to do that and charge that price without, I don't know, carrying any of those sort of doubts about it.
Thanks for one-upping me.
Sorry. Hey,
That was
well,
great.
I'm not trying. I thought it was awesome. You're just, I don't know. This is stuff I care about, man. And I wanted to lean in a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's huge. I love the belief thing. And I love that most people don't believe it. I mean, that's really the number one thing that it comes down to, is they don't believe it. And it makes sense, because if you look at their process, if you look at their branding, if you look at their experience, it makes sense. But the cool thing that I heard from you is you can create belief. Like, you can reverse engineer it and say, what would have to be true for me to believe that I really am worth this amount? And then it's like, okay, make a list. Well, I'd have to have better pictures, that's for sure. I'd have to be able to have more time with the customer. I'd have to have a better website. I'd have to have a nicer truck, whatever the things are. Like, you can put those in place, and now all of a sudden you believe.
And it's hard, because it might be, I need a better designer, or I need to become a better designer, or like, it's not that all the answers are going to be easy or just right in front of you and you just never thought of it. But it's like, do I want to become the person who can fully believe it, knowing everything that I know, in a sense, because you know more than the customer. Like, you can build trust by tricking people, or, con artists are essentially all about building trust through trying to essentially trick people, or you can like become the person that can deliver that value. And it doesn't have to work for everyone. That's the other thing, is some people are going to be willing to pay less, or there might be someone across town who's, almost as roughly as good as you are, maybe even a little better, and they charge less. But you just believing that you're worth it, I just think it gets you so far. It gets you so far. And if you can answer that question honestly, then that's a huge piece. It's not the whole thing, but it's a very important part.
Awesome. No, that's great, man. I'm glad you chimed in. I literally could talk about this for 17 days straight. So this is like, it's my number one thing, because it's the easiest thing to make changes. And sometimes the answers are a little bit more difficult, and it's not just a flip of a switch. But sometimes when you just you give yourself time to think, they are. I mean, the easy stuff
we think about pricing. I mean, at CompanyCam, we think about it a lot. And we get questions like, why, like, hey, well, we hear it from both sides. This is criminally inexpensive for the value I get from this. Hear that actually regularly, almost like, I don't even want to tell you this, but like, you could like triple my price, I would never stop using this. But then we get the other, like, how in the world am I going to spend $29 a month per user on this thing that takes pictures, and that, so honing in on where do we think the value is? Where does the market think the value is? And in software, it's different business, because so much of your cost is like upfront. Like you got to pay people that write code, and they have a ton of opportunities, and it costs a lot of money to hire these people. But your incremental cost of like doing the next job or signing up the next company is very low. Like essentially it changes like nothing about our cost structure to sign up one next company.
Yeah.
But if we only had one company, then it would cost them like $8 million a year, right, because of our like the costs involved in it. And so it's I mean, and what it comes down to is, what does the person on the other side believe that the value is? And some of that is like, you can go talking about all the features, and if you go put all these features to work, this thing is going to for sure be worth 10x what you're paying for it. Without a doubt, I'll drop the math for you. But are most people going to go use everything? And no, they're probably not. So it's understanding, what are the problems that they're having? Like, are they having problems organizing things? Are they having problems selling with sort of social proof that, hey, we did these 3 jobs in your neighborhood and let me show you all the pictures while I'm standing here on my phone? Are they having problems with sort of daily communication and accountability? This is what the questions we're asking, in our sales process. And then as we're understanding, okay, what do they value? What are they experiencing right now for problems? And is CompanyCam in a position to help solve those problems, and how much is it worth to them? And that's like an exercise on the front end of what I'm not that good at sales, but like discovery, like, cause you want to actually understand their problems rather than just start telling them all the things. Cause we all have this inclination to just, me especially, to just talk. Oh, this thing is so cool. Oh, this is going to look great. All the things that you're just start telling people, when you need to take the time to understand what they value. And most people value solving the problems that they have. And then if you can come in and understand those problems, the idea of $30 a month to get one of your people running this becomes sort of an obvious deal. And then we know in hindsight, this is where that belief comes in. So I was big on that, is every person that is doing customer support or sales for us believes in what we're doing because they're talking to people every day who are using it. And people, they use it, they keep using it. Like we call it in software, we call it churn. Like when you're paying for something every month and then you quit, that would be a customer like that quit or that churned out. We track that and we do incredibly well there because it's valuable and people are using it. So we know if you start using this, the chances that you're going to stop are very low and that you are going to see that value. And so the question becomes, how do we show you ahead of time before you get to that point, before it has saved your ass, before you're like, oh man, how was I doing? I can't believe I wasn't using this. We hear that a lot. And that's what's hard on the sales side, is establishing that, like, that trust and that sort of vision of the future of what could be, what their life could look like, how these problems could be resolved. And you do that and you establish the value and then you can sell it. And look, I'm literally going to be buying, we were talking about this last time. I'm going to be buying landscape lighting here pretty soon. And
I forgot to follow up with you, by the way. Yeah.
Well,
let's get that scheduled.
No, yeah. Hey, we should. Like we're building this house. We're going to do some it's going to be beautiful, outdoor, cool pool, this kind of stuff. And look, no one wants to feel like they're getting I was going to say swindled, but it's like, we need someone to cast a vision for us, right? Like we need someone to say, hey, this is what's possible. This is, and once we sort of believe in the vision, then we're in a position to say, okay, well, why are you the person to execute the vision? And the fact that you gave me the vision and you kind of helped me imagine what could be is a huge couple steps forward on why I'm saying you, not literally you necessarily, unless you want to fly in here and do some landscape lighting, hey, we can figure something out.
No, someone else will do it, but I'll probably fly there. We'll video it. We'll make a big thing of it. It'll be awesome.
Ooh,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
It'll be cool.
But that, like, when I trust you, like when we come to a point where we see the vision and I come to a point where I trust you to execute it, then I'm sort of happy to pay, because I don't have that trust with anyone else yet. And I will talk about pricing over and over, but I'm going to tell one more little story related to this, which is like, my uncle George is a sculptor, and he actually has a mustache like this. I kind of copied him, but let's just say it runs in the family. He is a sculptor, but as far as I'm concerned, he is the best salesperson. He's the best salesman I have ever met in my life. He is incredibly good at it. And he told me one time, you're making these very expensive, very nice sculptures for people who, again, usually have a lot of money. Like, I think I don't know that it's a perfect, like 1-to-1, but there's some similarities. And he said, if you try to completely push your vision over on them, then they're going to react against that. So he's like, you have to help them in a sense have their own vision or believe that it is their idea, meaning that you know what kind of could be and what could be great, like for this piece, what you're doing, or even for this landscape lighting. But like they have to own part of that. They have to feel like it is theirs and that it's not just something you're foisting kind of upon them. And I feel like I'm going back a little bit when I was getting really excited about pitching that vision, because we do need a vision, but then we need to own it. We need to be invested in what is going to be, how this is all going to look. Like we need to become co-owners of that. And then if we become co-owners of that vision that you pitched us and we trust you, it is a done deal. Okay. I've never sold a lighting jog in my life, so take all this with a grain of salt.
No, but that's just general sales principles. And, you say tactics, whatever, but it's still it's a science, actually. Like if you start selling features and benefits, which is the way that most people teach sales, is like I learned, like, don't sell the features, sell the benefit. It's like, well, before we even get there, why don't we talk about your current situation? Like, where are you at right now? And what are your frustrations? Why are we talking? Right. Well, the current situation is this with lighting. The house down the street got robbed into. We started thinking maybe we should think more security, or we want to be the most badass house in the neighborhood, or whatever it is, right? Like, understand the current situation, and then like, where do you want to be? And the problem, this is why people can't charge a lot of money. It speaks to exactly what you're saying. The gap is so small. How do you line this up? They're here and they think they can get here. Like, their future possibility is here if they add lighting. So that's not that much. They're like, that's probably worth a couple $1,000 or whatever the number of their value of getting to there. But the more you can like make that gap bigger and say, well, actually, like, you're here. I think my hands are backwards. You're here and you want to get here. The bigger that gap is, the bigger the price can be, because now you're actually solving a major problem. Like, if you really want your vision of the thing to get to this point, then you can charge more. And most people aren't spending any time on that in the discovery process to find out, like, how would this, whatever it is, landscape lighting software, how would this really affect that? Once that gap is huge, that's when you can just charge whatever you want, because they're more willing to do it and they're not buying features,
Amen.
Love it. So, by the way, I did want to put like a little asterisk. Like, anytime I talk about pricing, I mean, like, if you're going to sell anything to landscape lighting contractors, you can't raise your price. So, like, software companies, fixture manufacturers, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I meant like contractors should raise their price, not software companies. But then I was thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? Like, it's not fair. Like, if I'm a contractor and I lower my price, I'm going to be tempted, and in most cases, take the bait to like find a cheaper fixture, find a way to cut a corner, use a cheaper connector. Like, you're going to find ways to make money, right? And the same is true. Like, I joke around, like, don't raise your price, but like, if you raise your price and you give us way more value because of it, then we should celebrate that together and be like, hell yeah, because again, my dollar that I spend with you, I feel like I'm getting 2, 3, 5, 10 back. Like, why would I not be okay with that? So how did you get to this level? Like, you founded the company, now you're CEO. Like, how do you CEO? What things have you delegated to get to this level? And
yeah,
what's that like?
I do very little. I talk a lot.
So think about this. But you just said it. The very first thing you said, I do very little. Most people think if they're going to grow a company, I mean, they think it's incremental. Like, well, I'm going to have to do this and this and this. And there's different phases and stuff. But now you're like, you've delegated so much that like life is more simple and you're more effective at what you're doing because you're focused on the things that you're good at.
And, that's one of the hardest things about continuing to like hand off and delegate. And is that like, the question becomes like, what are the most important things to do? And that's different for every person. Like, fundamentally, if you're going to run any business, you have to provide leadership, like, which is, a business is just people working together towards pointed in a direction, right? You don't agree about everything in life. You're not all like, I don't know, going to the same church, or it's it's like, hey, we're going to try to all work in the same direction. And like organizing people to do that is just a hard thing. And it's harder. I mean, I think in contracting of all kinds, like you're going out to a job site, you've got a different customer on a regular basis. You're, you're whatever, you're installing lights, you're putting on new roofs, like all of this type of work. The very hard part about that to me, at least in my experience, is managing that operation. And when most people think about growth, they think, yeah, I would like more money, but do I want to double my headaches every single day? Could I, I don't think I do want to do that. And that's like, that is what's really hard. And when you've got to figure out people that you can trust such that your headaches don't go up as things grow, but they go down. And I mean, between seeing it done well, being fortunate / lucky, and then just learning on the go, have a lot of awesome people that I can think about the big ideas, the future, the kind the opportunity space, and not like dealing with every frustrated person, every problem, every bug in the app, there's always a million problems, and there's a million problems everywhere. Like, meaning this company, at a lighting business, on a podcast, there's always problems, and trying to figure out where to focus is difficult. And for me, what I come down to is like, well, what do I like, and what am I really good at? And then what is important for the business as far as we can figure out, and try to spend my time there. And then don't let other people, like you were talking about not caring about math and the books and stuff. I hate accounting. I like math, like sort of in problem solving and stuff like that. Like, I'm not opposed to math, but that kind of like maintenance of things, my house is like embarrassingly in disrepair. Like, I have had like light switch cases not on the things. I've had half ripped off, like wallpaper from when my kid was 3 and like thought it would be funny to rip off the wallpaper, like for years. And I mean, like, it's actually embarrassing when we have people over and they're like, my in-laws come over and they're like, you still haven't done anything about this? And I'm just like, no, I built a deck though. Things like, I like building things. And so for me, figuring out, you have to do the leadership piece. You have to help keep everyone pointed in the same direction. And then, where are you especially good? What do you like to do? And how can you impact the business with that? And then plug other people, find other good people, because I can't stress this. Everyone knows this, but it's kind of, we forget about it. A business is just people. And when you own the business, the way that you leverage that is by getting other great people to work with you. And that's the hardest. It's hard in the software business. It's hard in the landscape lighting business, I'm sure. Like, other great people have great opportunities. So I think selling great people to work for you is harder than selling the next job. It's harder in, like, even in this kind of business, it's harder than selling investors. How you can, well, get great people and then help grow them into just the super competent people that you can really trust is, I don't know, maybe you train people to do this in your landscape light secrets training facilities hidden in the deserts of Nevada or whatever. But like,
we're in a bunker. We're definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Well, naturally, I mean, you've got to be insulated from thermonuclear war. What are we even doing? Though this window is going to blow in and just melt my skin off pretty soon.
Oh, I thought that wasn't a window. I thought that was just like a painting that looked like a window.
It's just a painting of the drab Lincoln, Nebraska skyline. No, it's like got a weird cover over the window that makes it look somewhat abstract. But, it's just, so you were asking me, like, I've been very fortunate. I saw my dad run his roofing business, and just like things that how he treated people, integrity, these things just work over time, and they make your life simpler rather than more complicated. And he regularly took like this kind of long-term investor view versus this sort of like short-term, how do I make the next buck kind of mindset. And that I think that stuff just works across all business. And so I just through watching him, saw a lot of that.
Nice.
And then, quite honestly, being at the point to see the problem that we're solving, and it's like a really good problem, meaning it's a problem that we solved before other people did, and really we still basically have no competition in this area, and it's a problem that a lot of people have, and then it's also software, which is just gives you a bigger opportunity because it's just easier to get software into more people's hands, like apps, than it is to do landscape lighting for 10,000 different houses. And so it really all came together, and there's a lot of luck and a lot of blessing, and then some hard work. I can't skip over that. We grinded it out for quite a while.
So I kind of want to let's transition and talk about CompanyCam, but I don't want to dismiss what you just said, because honestly, I wish someone would have given me that advice that you just said, like just about replacing yourself and like doing what you want and all this other stuff, because there's lots of reasons why businesses fail. Most of them run out of money. But if they surrounded themselves with people who were more excited about or better at or whatever, like they wouldn't fail, because you're at a place now where like you got extreme momentum, you got the right people in the right places and doing all these things. And like, I don't know. I just had this definition of entrepreneur that you were supposed to do everything. And you're supposed to brag to your friends that you're like the best at everything. And it's easier to solve. You said it, like, it's easier to solve the sales problem. Like, I can go sell a $10,000 job right now. If you said, I'm going to kill your family if you don't sell a $10,000 landscape lighting job in the next 24 hours. Like, I'm going to go do it. I'll go knock on doors and do it. But it's hard to solve the problem of finding people, like selling people to work for you. So that's really hard, but there's ways. You can do this, right? You've proven it. How many team members are you up to now?
About 250 people we have. Yeah, it's crazy. I know.
You interviewed all those yourself and hired and trained
no, I did do 2 interviews today. I mean, but no, that's, again, it is that, to me, the fundamental an entrepreneur is taking the risk into the future, and they're basically making a bet against the future that says, I'm willing to take on this risk of this business of paying these people or whatever, because I think that we can accomplish XYZ in the future. And they're betting on that, and other people essentially are their like resources. And I don't say that in like a demeaning way by any means, but that like, because hey, a lot of people here do really well, and they're not wage slaves or like anything like that. But you find people that are better than you. And I think you insinuated this, but it's a fundamentally humbling experience, like being an entrepreneur. Like, you learn a lot of what you don't know, and there's really nowhere to hide, in a sense, when it falls on you to kind of get it done. And it is humbling. And you realize, at least again for me, because I'm a lazy person, and I would rather not do things. Like, if someone else can do them better than me, I would rather not do them. Now, there are things I like to do, but I can't just like do twice as much. And that, like, the way that you scale something is with other people, with efficiencies, with software, with like belief, like we were talking about. Like, there's all these things that work together. But I do think like your team and the people that you are able to marshal is the number one thing across everything else that is going to separate like wild success from eking by. Is like, what kind of people can you get on your team? And great leaders will get great people.
Love it. We should probably talk about CompanyCam so you don't get fired. I don't know.
CompanyCam sales pitch. Yeah, exactly. Sales team will be like, you were talking about leadership the whole time.
But this is such a waste. But here's the thing. I can't help but like when I get someone like you and you've got this awesome company, you've got this success. I just can't help but I'm not asking for the audience at this point. I'm like, okay, how do I get to the Luke level? How do I get to the CompanyCam level? So, but don't answer that, because we're going to talk about CompanyCam. So that I'm just explaining why we just spent the majority of the show talking about stuff that's not related, that wasn't on my notes, because I'm like, I just want to know. So I think it's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. So just do a quick overview. We had you on before, but we have new listeners and stuff like that. Like, what is CompanyCam? Who's it for? Why should they all be using it?
Yeah, I mean, CompanyCam is for anyone whose work happens at a job site, meaning you're out there, you could be painting houses, installing landscape lights, roofing, building pools, laying fiber optic cables, whatever. And everyone in the contracting space is taking photos. And what we're trying to do is make that process of organizing those photos, of using them in communication, and basically running accountability across your company, simple and automatic. And so it's, I mean, just the core simplest thing you do is you go out, it uses your GPS to be like, oh, it looks like you're at this job. Yep. You take pictures, you can like really easily draw on those pictures or annotate them. You can comment on them and mention people, have conversations. You can build out like checklists for standard operating procedures that people can only complete with photo proof to show, you know, what they did and that it got done right. There's a million things in here, but this like communication and accountability as a pathway to building trust in your business, trust that the work is getting done right, trust that your customer has in you. That is what we're about. And capturing these photos and these videos and using the CompanyCam app in that's really just the means toward building this trust through good communication and accountability. So that's not a very great sales pitch by any means.
We'll get it.
But
We'll get a
what
sales
we're
guy
about.
next time. Yeah, we'll get a sales guy.
We've got a lot of those. They're good at it. I literally put it, you know, hey, what do you guys say?
What is the script? But
tell you what, here's what's exciting to me. Like that, the fun, if you want to trust in your business, then you have to, in a sense, know the facts on the ground. And like taking a picture, like you take a picture in CompanyCam and it like immediately goes from whoever your company's taking that picture, it sort of organizes under the right job, and then it's all stored in the cloud. You have immediate access to it. But that photo is like the truth. Like it's exactly the state of something right now. And it's time stamped. You know who took it, you know what job they're on, you know, it's there. And that sort of on the ground truth is the foundation for a whole bunch of how your business can operate when you know that on the ground truth all day. You can open your phone and you can just see, oh, looks like they've got this far on this job, or looks like that material got dropped off, like all of this stuff. Or there's any dispute. Oh, well, we've got the GPS time stamped photo proof right here that, you know, we can't tamper with to just sort out these things that can happen, these frustrations that can happen when there's, you know, blame going around about something, because it could be damaged. There's all this stuff. Now, I want to put a little bit of that aside. Well, see, I really want to start talking about AI and what we're doing with AI because I'm really excited about it. But I also don't want to jump the gun if you want to go deeper into any of this other stuff.
Well, before we jump to AI, because I was going to ask like how it's impacting your software company and stuff, but like I get how it helps with communication, because you could like communicate like, okay, we pre-wired this job, and here's where the sleeves are coming underneath the sidewalk. Here's where we're going to mount a transformer. Here's where this was done. And we're not going to be back for 3 months. And no one's going to remember this in 3 months, but it's cool. It's documented. And as I understand it, it's not going to your phone. It's going to the cloud. So you don't have to jack up your phone with all these photos. Talk to me more about the accountability piece, because that communication accountability is like, that's like the death to small businesses right now. Like they figure out some of these other things, but that thing is like it's like going around worse than COVID right now. Like it's killing everybody. So if it can solve communication, which I believe, but if it can solve accountability, that's even huger.
Yeah, I mean, solving accountability is well. Let me say this. accountability is like the number one problem. Like people come into CompanyCam because they know they're disorganized, and they can't find these photos that they're taking, or, just things like this. So it's problems that you sort of know that you have. Why people stay around is because essentially the photos don't lie. We're giving you this feed of every person at your company, the latest photos they're taking. And there is an amount of process that you have to implement on your own. Like a simple, like usually I tell people, take photos when you show up, take photos when something goes wrong, and take photos before you leave, whenever you leave. Whether you leave for lunch, take photos. When you show back up after lunch, take photos. Before you leave at the end of the day, take some photos. It's really simple. It takes almost no time at all. But what we saw in our roofing business, and this manifests differently everywhere, but it was like, when you see that happening in real time, and everyone knows that every day the boss is going to see these pictures that I'm putting in here. Maybe he won't come over to the job today or all this sort of stuff, but my work will be seen regularly and almost in a sense immediately. That there's a level of accountability in there that demands higher quality work. Like in roofing, for example, you install these roof vents on people's houses. And if you're standing, you don't know what it looks like if it's installed properly. Like maybe if it's really wrong, you might be like, oh my, that looks terrible. But in general, you don't know good from bad from anything else. But I do. And when those guys had to start taking pictures of everything they were doing and all of these roof vents, they started making fun of each other in the like chat of this app. They would comment on each other's photos and say like, hey, this is your first event, you idiot, basically, type of thing. And it had a bigger impact on our quality of work than our like inspections, all this other stuff that we were doing. The fact that what they were doing was going to be seen, it was going to be seen by me, and it was going to be seen by their peers, other people who are doing the same work, who know what good looks like and who care. Rate, like our inspections all got better. It was really amazing. But that I struggle to explain this because it does manifest differently at different companies. But you go from wondering about things or having a problem and then looking into it like, oh, someone's frustrated, customer's frustrated, or I see something that looks wrong here, and I need to go investigate this, to instead of sort of being reactive after the fact, to seeing things ahead of time, to seeing, like I'm going to keep using roofing examples just because that's what I personally know. I've roofed more houses than I care to remember. Things like, oh, they put the Tyvek behind the step flashing and that's going to leak. And I saw that photo pop in there right now. And I'm immediately calling Abel and telling him, what are you thinking, dude? That's not going to work. Like, fix it before we get called back here for a leak in 6 months. Or seeing things that get buried underground. Like, when you can just see it all happening, you do not want to go back to before, when you were reactive, when you were finding about things in a sense after the fact. And that is like that. It kind of rolls all into this accountability thing. There's so much of specifics, again, like these checklists and photo proof, but it's really like gives you this sort of visibility and a level of transparency. They say light is the best disinfectant in a sense, like bad things happen in the dark, or this kind of metaphor. It just creates that in your business. Like, you can see it, other people can see it, and it's like nothing's hidden now. We're all seeing what's happening. We're all seeing the work. And when you know that it will be seen, you just do better. And
that's cool. I don't know. I mean, it's okay to share lighting analogies on a lighting podcast. So how that worked.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but I'm hearing that, like, so people are coming to you because they feel disorganized and like, this is cool. If this just gets me organized, then that would be worth it. And maybe that speaks to the question. I had someone right before I like hit the live button on this. They were like, oh yeah, ask them about the pricing, and they're probably looking at it like, well, if it can help. And again, if it's just 1 or 2 users, I don't think anyone has an issue, but it's like 15 people times 30, then it starts to add up. And so they're thinking, well, if it's just organized, is it worth $450? But when you're adding all of a sudden, well, whoa, it does way more than that. It helps with communication as a team. It helps with communication to the homeowner. It helps with accountability. Now, all of a sudden, this is where we're talking about value. Like,
Yeah, and those, those problems, yes. It's all of that, let's say. And I'm going to sit up. I hate when people come up with sort of make believe numbers. Like, it's going to save every person an hour a day, and you pay that person $37 an hour. So this is clearly going to save you $80,300 a month. That stuff just bugs me, like sort of imprecise, sort of make believe math. So I don't like doing it. Now, I'm not going to speak for my sales team. Some people are into that kind of thing, but I know that it will save you money. But it's as you get more and more people, you have the problems of miscommunication, the problems of accountability. Like, these problems expand, and they almost expand like, I was going to say I was going to make up a word, so I'm not going to do it.
exponentially. No, you didn't even have to make it up.
But there's something between exponentially and linearly that is like, I don't know what it is. Geometric. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is
exponential.
Yeah. We're just all inventing the dumbest math terms. No, it's like you have like more problems with 4 people than just like doubling the problems you have with 2 people or something, and then 8, 16. It does, let's just say, exponential. And so if you look at, let's say you've got 15 people and it's going to cost you on the order of $450 a month, which is basically, because it's like $29 a person. Now it's 34 if you pay monthly, 29 if you pay annually. So let's call it between $450 and $500 a month. That sounds like a lot of money, but those are our best customers. Like, because those are the people, you've got a real business if you've got 15 people.
Yeah.
Which means you have real problems like this. And when you have regularly having all of this evidence and seeing things before they become big problems, and this accountability boost that you're getting, you're going to look back and say, this is going to be one of the last things I cut. And we've heard this continually, that like, oh, I would cut a whole bunch of other things before I would cut CompanyCam, because I don't even know how I would manage this business without it. And they go, look, it's self-serving. I run this company, etc. But I hear it all the time. And I experienced it back when I was working at my dad's roofing company. And it really is, it just knowing, having the evidence, avoiding these conflicts and this paying for damaged property crap that you get blamed for. Like, there's all of these things that just having the facts right in front of you when you need them becomes easily worth $30 a person. And the customers that we lose are these like 1 or 2 person companies that are just, those businesses are like kind of hit or miss anyway. Like if you're just working totally by yourself, like that's lots of times they go work for someone else or whatever. We hardly ever lose these 10 to 50 user companies because they completely see the value. All right, you're gonna have to let me talk about AI though.
Yeah.
Before we leave, do we have any time or are we out of time?
I got time.
Okay, give me like 5 minutes because I got to get to my kids' basketball practice pretty soon, but I can run this. Okay, we've all seen ChatGPT. You type a thing in and it makes words and spits them back at you. It's pretty cool. What this stuff is really good at is taking existing information and using it to answer questions or making things out of it. And so what we're doing, we've got this in beta right now. If you want early access to this in beta, email me, luke@companycam.com, and say something about this beta feature or the AI stuff. But we have made this new camera mode, which we call like smart notes, where you just walk around and take pictures and talk to your phone. You just talk while you're taking pictures. And you can say whatever. It's incredibly good at transcribing what you're saying into text. But not only does it transcribe, like take your audio and turn it into like it's almost perfectly transcribed text, but then it organizes it into these sort of beautiful notes with bullet points with the photos mixed in. And so you can just like, for example, you're going to estimate a job or something. You walk around, you can just take pictures. Literally, you just take pictures and talk to your phone. And we organize it all together and spit out this beautiful notes document with it all sort of organized and structured with the photos in there. And the photos feel native. You can just drag the photos around. You can edit the notes. And we see a lot more capabilities here, but we're starting very simple because I've always wanted to do this. Like I used to like carry this notepad around on the roof because I forget everything. So I'm like writing these stupid notes and taking pictures, and like I always wanted to do this, but the technology was just never there. And so we've just put this together where you talk and take pictures. That's all you need to do. And then you have this beautiful notes document that saved in your CompanyCam, like available across your company. So if you look back at that job 4 years from now, whatever you freaking set into your phone and took pictures of is there. And it kind of condenses it a little bit, and just like, because it's trying to organize it and simplify it a little bit, but it is really good. And I'm super pumped about it. So we've got maybe a couple hundred companies up and running with this right now, just beta testing it. But I'm looking for people that are interested in trying it and kind of giving us some feedback, helping to imagine the future of how something like this could really work for you is what I'm looking for. So, you try it, you see what's good, what don't you like, what would you love that it could do? And see, this is the stuff I love. This is where my head's at, which is like, how do we take something that is kind of tedious and kind of sucks and make it so much easier that everyone will want to do it, and that it'll feel like magic. So I don't know. That only took like 2 minutes. That wasn't too bad, was it?
No, dude, that's freaking awesome. I think it's amazing. I mean, I'm already thinking like, maybe you're okay at typing on your phone or whatever, but your foreman just wants to like say the things. Like it's awesome.
And we're only in beta right now, but we're gonna bake in this like AI translation also, so that you want to either just make one of these or write a little note, and you can just highlight it and be like, change it to Spanish. Boom. Like, and then you have, this is another great thing about CompanyCam is that in contracting, there's a lot of English to Spanish language barrier. Or even if it's not a full-on language barrier, it's like a place where miscommunication can happen. Whereas when you're looking at a picture and there's an arrow on a photo pointing right at this thing and saying it's sticking out this way, but it needs to stick out this way, or whatever the instructions are, that it's just one of these things that it allows for clear communication and looking at the same thing and using a photo rather than trying to explain to someone that you need to go to the third, pine tree on the north side of the house, whatever. Sorry, I'm reading this comment. I already make a video by phone, and this will save a big step getting the info in one place. Yeah, I mean, we're going to do some of these kind of document summaries for videos too, but this starting of you take pictures, you talk, you get this thing out the other side, shoot me an email. If you want in on the beta, I'll get you in on it ASAP. And all you need to do is use it a little bit and just give us some feedback, because we are going to be constantly trying to make this better.
Well, in lighting, it's easy. I mean, I'm thinking of so many different examples. You take a picture of it, make sure this light is 18 inches off this particular portion of the house. This one, the lights are going to be spaced out every 6 feet, whatever it is. It's just going to make it so much easier to annotate and everything. So that's awesome. Hey, so, all right, I know we got to wrap up. Real quick, I just want to let you guys know that CompanyCam's doing a deal for listeners of Lighting for Profits. So it's companycam.com/lighting for profits. I put the link in the comments or whatever. I don't even know. But companycam.com/lighting for profits. You get 2 free weeks as a trial, and then you get 25% off your first 2 months. So thank you to CompanyCam. Thanks, Luke. I appreciate you being on here. And yeah, reach out. If you guys have any questions, if you want to do the beta thing, Luke at companycam.com. Is that right?
Yep, Luke at companycam.com. Shoot me an email and I will get you in there. Or if you have other questions, I'm around. Happy to help. Okay. But Ryan, thanks for having me, man. This was awesome.
That was sweet. I know you got to get running. Thanks for being on here, man. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, you have an awesome week. Go check out CompanyCam, companycam.com/lighting for profits. Get the hookup. See y'all.